Yo, internet dwellers, welcome back to the third dimension. And if you are not only active on the internet, but in the culture, then you know that there has been a hip-hop resurgence, revitalized. You know, get two of those motherfucking zappy thingies and put it on the music genre. Because just like Frankenstein, it is alive, my friends. And finally, after many years of just straight ass, literally, and rappers that don't got love for the culture of hip-hop, but just got love for the money, and, you know, hey, do your thing. You know, I love me some Key Glock. But statistically, hip-hop has been at an all-time low in streams and sales. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally getting the long-awaited beef that has been brewing in the pot for the last decade, 13 years in fact, between two hip-hop artists that are arguably two of the best to ever do it in the decade of the 2010s, Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Now, subjectively, you can fight, box, squabble, do a roundhouse kick in the air to debate about who the greatest artist is between these two, but you can at least acknowledge that both of these musical creators have achieved accolades that no one can touch. Drake has the most hits, and as he said, he is one away from Michael Jackson. And Kendrick Lamar won a Pulitzer Prize, a prize that nobody other than composers have achieved. If you don't believe me, look it up. There's no Beyonce, there's no Taylor Swift, there's no Queen, there's no The Beatles, there's no Michael Jackson. It's only Kendrick Lamar and composers. We cannot deny that these two are both the GOATs. This is like the Roman Empire going against the Ottoman Empire, and you know, just like any battle, one must come out victorious. You know, now which empire symbolizes which artist? Well, that's still up for grabs. The war hasn't ended yet, so we don't know. And this year, internet dwellers, hip-hop fans, we are eating good. You know, we were in a drought like the Aztec Empire, but somebody must have made a sacrifice because we are fucking harvesting on a feast right now. And I know we all have our little biases, but all we can do is sit in the crowd and enjoy the show unfold before our very eyes. I know some of you got your little wagers going on, but this is entertainment because just like Bruce Buffer said, it is time for the main event between Kung Fu Kenny, Ain't Nobody Pray For Me, Mr. Morale, Kendrick Duckworth Lamar, and the boy, the sixth god, the Drizzy Aubrey Drake Graham. Now, before we get into that, let me give you a brief history on the beef because, as I've said, this has been long awaited. You know, this is that aged wagyu that has been cooking for over 10 years. And me and a lot of other hip-hop fans never thought this day would come. But here it is. So, let's rewind to the year 2013. Big Sean released a song called Control that featured both Jay Electronica and Kendrick Lamar. But let's be real here. This isn't Big Sean's song. This is Kendrick Lamar's song because of the impact that it had not only during that time, but for the culture. Now, just to brush up on that time frame, Kendrick put out Good Kid, Mad City a year earlier, which everybody rated to be one of the greatest pieces of work to ever come out of a sophomore album. You know, it was heavily praised in the world of hip-hop and was very receptive with mainstream success, where it has remained in the Billboard Top 100 even till this day. Now, this would impress hip-hop veteran Snoop Dogg in the game, who would pass him the torch to continue the legacy of the greats of the West Coast in 2012.
Nigga, you got the torch, nigga. You better run with it. You better run with it, nigga, because it's yours.
Which is crazy. He was still early on in his career and was being seen and treated as a legend already. So back to Control. Kendrick Lamar knew he had a weight to carry and was confident in his abilities to hold that title. So what did he do on the Control verse? He called out all of his hip-hop peers, or at least the ones he deemed worthy enough for discussion, and the world went crazy. And it seemed like majority of his peers took it as friendly competition and, didn't take it too deeply, except for one person.
And Control, the record, people still banging it, man. Where is Drake at with Control?
I'm probably like as done as like the rest of the world is with that record. Like I think it came and it went, you know what I mean? And not to discredit it, like it was a good moment, but at the end of the day, it's just like, it was like one of those sort of like fleeting like Twitter frenzies. I don't know if I necessarily respect it. We all make decisions. I'm sure he'll be good. He's talented as you know what I'm saying? He's gonna have another album and another opportunity to take the world by storm, so he'll be all right, you know what I'm saying? Even if it doesn't feature, any of the names that he mentioned, which it probably won't, to be honest with you. I don't know who's gonna go back from that and be like, yeah, let's link up and nah, you know what I'm saying? But he'll be all right, he's a talented dude.
Now this would be a pivotal moment in the feud between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, because from here on out, they would no longer feature nor collaborate with one another on each other's music. These artists had only worked on 3 songs before the Control incident: Buried Alive interlude on Take Care, Poetic Justice on Good Kid, Mad City, and fucking Problems with A$AP Rocky. Now at the time, we didn't know that. We didn't know we weren't gonna get any more heat from Kendrick Lamar and Drake. We didn't even know it was that deep. It was just a verse, But from my speculations, from Kendrick Lamar's Euphoria lyrics where he states, "Is it the braids? You don't want to work with me no more? Okay," alludes to the fact that Drake really did take it to heart, and this is my theory, and this is what I believe happened, is that there might have been an incident that happened after the Control verse, which released in August 2013, where maybe Drake and Kendrick had a song on Drake's album Nothing Was the Same, which came out in September 2013. But because of the Control verse, Drake possibly took him off the album. Now these are just merely speculations, but interestingly enough, a month after Drake dropped Nothing Was the Same, in October, Black Hippie had a cypher at the BET Hip Hop Awards. Black Hippie, if anybody isn't aware, were members that were a part of TDE that included Kendrick Lamar. And on that cypher, Kendrick did what Kendrick does, and that was make another moment for the culture of hip-hop.
Yeah, and nothing been the same since they dropped Control and tucked the sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. Ha ha, joke's on you, high five. I'm bulletproof, your shots will never penetrate. Pin the tail on a donkey, boy, you benefit.
It's obvious who he was aiming at. This wasn't a sneak diss, this was a direct hit at Drake. I mean, come on now. Nothing was the same since they dropped Control and tucked the sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. Now guess what? Drake did not want this smoke at this time. Now why is that? Well, my guess is, if anybody who doesn't know, the power and influence that Drake has now didn't exist back then. Like, sure, yeah, people enjoyed his music and he was a great artist with banger and hits, but he wasn't invincible. I feel like that only came after he got money and established himself as an artist, because with that comes power. And because of that, after a decade of him finally feeling confident in his connections and his position in the music industry, he now feels bulletproof. But in all honesty, if Drake and Kendrick Lamar went head to head back at that time, where I personally feel like hip hop was a lot more respected as an art form, Drake's career would not be what it is today, and that's just facts. But that's neither here nor there, and I want to clarify, I love Drake and I love Kendrick Lamar, but you can't deny the facts. Before Drake gained weight, before he grew a beard, he was meme-worthy. I mean, he's still meme-worthy to this day, but he wasn't really taken seriously in hip-hop at all. I mean, you know, remember the BlackBerry incident? You know, everybody was laughing at him, bro. Everybody was calling him corny. I was there. I know. I remember. You know, but his catalog was too fire for him to be canceled. I mean, look at this stat line. Take care. Nothing was the same. So far gone. Thank me later, man. Like banger after banger after banger. Oh my God. You know, like, let me know. Let me know. Like that Aaliyah sample was just too fucking. Anyways, fast forward to 2015. Kendrick Lamar dropped his long-awaited album To Pimp a Butterfly, which for anybody who thought he was a one-dimensional artist, were in for a surprise when he dropped this classic, because this was no Good Kid, Mad City. This was fucking art. This was an album that needed to be dissected by a prolific sociological professor to understand the social dynamics of a black man in America. This was a fucking banger, my guy. And in one of these songs called King Kunta, Kendrick Lamar raps, a rapper with the ghostwriter. What the fuck happened? I swear I wouldn't tell. But most of y'all sharing bars like y'all got the bottom bunk in a 2-man cell. Now this was early on in the year, and whoever listened to the album questioned who exactly Kendrick Lamar was talking about in this line. Was it A$AP Rocky? Was it Tyler the Creator? Was it Gucci Mane? Was it 2 Chainz? Was it Action Bronson? Was it Chance the Rapper? Drake, in the middle of 2015, featured on a song with Meek Mill called Rico, which went fucking crazy, by the way. This is still one of my go-to gym songs. Now, during this time, Meek Mill was dating Nicki Minaj, who is one of the most influential female rap artists to ever exist, even to this day. And so I guess with that comes insecurities, or, you know, maybe something was going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, because Meek allegedly took Drake's verse the wrong way, where he said, "The girl of your dreams to me is probably not a challenge." Now, Meek assumed, probably having flashbacks of Nicki Minaj twerking on Drake in that Anaconda video, that Drake was talking about him smashing Nicki Minaj. So what does Meek do? He tweets out, "Stop comparing Drake to me. He don't write his own raps. That's why he ain't tweet my album out, because we found out." Now this fucking opened Pandora's box and exposed Drake for being fraudulent, fake, not a real rapper. You know, ever since his day, although Drake is making, you know, bangers and is extremely successful, he lost a lot of respect for people that truly are a part of the culture, you know, and live and breathe hip-hop. Even to this day, I'll listen to a Drake song and there's like a little voice in the back of my head saying, damn, did he really write this song? Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the details with that, but Drake did drop one of the hardest diss tracks of all time with back-to-back, completely disrespecting Meek Mill. And throughout the year of 2015, he was once again just dropping banger after banger with his projects If You're Reading This Is Too Late, and his joint mixtape with Future, What a Time to Be Alive. You know, and we can't forget about the features. But was Kendrick alluding to Drake when he was talking about ghostwriters? Now, after Control dropped, Kendrick Lamar and Drake would throw subliminals at each other for years. Early in 2014, on J-Rock's song called Pay For It, Kendrick says, "I tell him to hell, King Kendrick. Resurrecting my vengeance, been dissecting your motor mouth till I break down my engine. This ain't no warning shot, this is a relevant henchman. See my opponent, then seize your existence, ending our friendship. Baby, I'd rather die alone." Now, people speculated that this was directed at Drake because on his song The Language, he says, "I am the kid with the motor mouth. I am the one you should worry about." Initially, it might not sound like these two are related, but since Kendrick is talking about ending a friendship, and this was around the time that the two started to have conflicts, there might be some validity in these two bars being connected. Also, people thought Drake was throwing shots at Kendrick when he said motor mouth, as in like he raps fast, you know? Kendrick Lamar would then appear on Power 106 at the end of 2014 and was asked about his relationship with J. Cole and Drake, where he said, this.
Specifically, where are you at, like, with the J. Cole? Specifically, where are you at with a Drake or so on and so forth?
I respect the music.
Like that.
For sure. I respect them as individuals and creators.
Drake would allegedly respond to this in his 2015 mixtape, If You're Reading This It's Too Late, on his song titled Used To, stating, they're gonna say your name on them airwaves, they're gonna hit you up right after like it's only rap. Followed right after this by his feature in the game song 100, where he says, I would have all of your fans if I didn't go pop and I stayed on some conscious shit. I mean, come on now. Kendrick is seen as a conscious rapper. Drake is seen as more of the pop guy. Now, during the Meek Mill and Drake beef, it seemed as though Kendrick Lamar wanted a piece of the pie too, because he sent another subliminal, but not really a subliminal, more of a direct hit again. On Dr. Dre's song Dark Side Gone, Kendrick raps, but still, I got enemies giving me energy. I want to fight now. Subliminal, sending me all of this hate. Now, it seems like Kendrick not only wanted the beef, but was ready for it. This is like the book The Count of Monte Cristo, bro. He was fucking cooking for 10 years in that prison cell, bro. He was ready for this shit. If you guys don't get the reference, Drake has a song called Energy, where he says, I got enemies, got a lot of enemies. So this one was obvious, and it seemed like Drake just ignored it, because this was actually literally a week after Back to Back dropped, where he annihilated and, bent Meek over, pulled his pants down, and started spanking him on his ass like he was his father. So I'm assuming he didn't want to go to war with somebody on his level and lose, because that would have just been, a bad for his reputation. Now, weirdly enough, in 2016, it seemed like they were throwing friendly jabs at one another, or even moving past their beef, because Drake would reference Kendrick Lamar on DJ Khaled's song For Free, where he raps, and like your boy from Compton said, you know this dick ain't free, referring to Kendrick's song For Free, where he rapped the same lyrics. Kendrick would also pay his respects to Drake's song Controller on his 2016 album Views, where he posted a video of him singing the melody. But who knows, maybe this was subtle passive disrespect being passed from both parties, because in the Heart Part 4 in 2017, Kendrick would go fucking apeshit on a rapper that people speculated was either Drake or Big Sean, because in this lyrics he says, my fans can't wait for me to sun your punk ass and crush your whole little shit. I'll big pun your punk ass, you scared little bitch, tiptoeing around my name, you a lame. Now, after the song, Kendrick Lamar drops Damn, in which he won many achievements for, including a Pulitzer Prize. Now, Kendrick Lamar would do the soundtrack for the Black Panther movie in 2018, where fans speculated he had a song on there with SZA titled All the Stars, in which he dissed the Canadian-born rapper once again with the lyrics, fuck you and your expectations. I don't even want your congratulations. I recognize your false confidence and calculated promises all in your conversation. I hate people that feel entitled. Look at me crazy because I didn't invite you. Oh, you important moral of the story, you endorsing motherfucker, I don't even like you. And in this photo, we can see Drake congratulating Kendrick back in 2017, saying, amazing to see our music moving. Now, after this album, Kendrick Lamar would go ghost on the world for 4 years. This is where Drake started to pick up a lot of steam. He dropped More Life in late 2017, and in this mixtape, he had a song called Gloucester, where he subtly disses Kendrick Lamar, rapping, I know I said top 5, but I'm top 2, and I'm not 2, and I got one, thought you had one, but it's not one, nah, referring to Kendrick Lamar's The Heart Part 4, where Kendrick says, yelling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I am the greatest rapper alive. Drake would gain even more momentum during the years of Kendrick Lamar's absence, dropping Scorpion in 2018 and featuring in a lot of other rappers' music like Lil Baby, Future, Gunna, and many more, solidifying himself as the superstar and hitmaker that he is. Dark Demos in 2020 and CLB in 2021 were two more projects added to his collection. You know, people conspired that he killed X, and I was one of them, but hey, that's neither here nor there. A couple of weeks, though, after Drake dropped CLB, Kendrick Lamar hopped on a song with his cousin called Family Ties, where he raps, "Smoking on your top 5 tonight, where Baby Keem at the end of the song says, "Number 2 DMing my bitch, I don't even ask why," referring to Drake because both Keem and Kendrick clearly see him as number 1. So what I think happened, and this is my conspiracy lethal loaded coming out here, but Baby Keem probably had a woman that he was infatuated with and was having sexual relations with, and you know, she told him, "Hey, Drake DM'd me, holy shit," and he saw that and he heard that, and I mean, we all know that Drake is the type of person to fuck somebody's girl. It happened with Metro Boomin, it happened with Lil Wayne, it happened with Future, and it continues to happen, you know? And so he told Kendrick Lamar about it, and Kendrick Lamar, holding his baby, was all like, you know, he was building up that resentment. He remembered all the fucking problems he had with this motherfucker, and he went into that studio that night. So K-Dot came back with the shit, letting Drake know, "Hey, I'm still that motherfucker. I'm number 1. I still don't like you. Let's not forget that, brother." Now, Joe Budden on the Joe Budden podcast elaborates on this further.
This verse is not about Big Sean. It's not about Wale. It's not about Jay-Elect, The Lox, Nicki, Meek, Ross. This verse is not. Who else you got for me?
So what is he saying, Joe?
I'm talking to Drake. A hybrid strain of Drake and J. Cole, a little bit in there. But this is a Toronto Mansion Degrassi special.
Now, Kendrick Lamar would drop Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers in 2022, and then did what a father does best, which is take care of his kids and be a good partner to his girl, completely isolating himself from the world again. Now, while Kendrick turned his phone on D&D, Drake would drop a multitude of projects from Honestly Nevermind and Her Loss to only not cement himself in hip-hop, but in the world as an icon. You know, I mean, in 2023, he was hitting up Kai Cenat and other streamers, which, if I'm going to be honest, I felt like this was kind of strategic on his part, because he knows that if he targets these streamers, he'll be able to reach a whole new demographic, which includes a younger audience. It's the same thing he does with these new and hot artists like Four Bats and Central C, you know, who at some point was Lil Durk and Lil Baby. Fast forward to First Person Shooter on Drake's album For All the Dogs, which featured J. Cole, where these two were basically rapping like they were the top 2 rappers of all time. Hell, while J. Cole mentioned Kendrick Lamar, Drake didn't even acknowledge him one bit. Who the GOAT? Who the GOAT? Who you bitches really rooting for? Like a kid that act bad from January to November, it's just you and Cole. Love when they argue the harder MC. Is it K-Dot? Is it Aubrey or me? We the big 3 like we started the league, but right now I feel like Muhammad Ali. Now, this song was a certified banger and actually would give J. Cole his first number 1 hit, so good for him. Now, these two would start touring with each other in the beginning of 2024 and started acting buddy-buddy on stage with each other. And Kendrick Lamar was like, bet. Also, theory circulating based off Kendrick's song Euphoria, where he details that Drake allegedly sent him a feature request where people speculated that he was referring to First Person Shooter, in which he denied, because as he said in the song, that him and Drake still have some things to address. What I think was going on through Kendrick Lamar's mind was like, you know, we're getting older, you know, this guy's thinking he's gonna retire, and we're never gonna have this moment. So Kendrick Lamar had to fucking throw in the reel and bait Drake in somehow. It's like that chip on Kendrick Lamar's shoulder that just needs to be addressed, and he needs it to happen before he could finally sit on his fucking porch and staring out into the distance like fucking Thanos. Now, fortunately for him, this was the right timing because Metro and Future had a joint project called We Don't Trust You, where they were basically dissing Drake in a lot of songs on that album. Now, Kendrick Lamar featured on one of the songs called Like That, where he rapped, "Fuck sneak dissing, first person shooter, I hope they came with 3 switches. Fuck the big 3, it's just big me." And for all the dogs getting buried, that's a K with all these 9s. He's going to see Pet Cemetery. Now this fucking song blew up. I'm talking about #1 hit. People were talking about it all over the internet. The verse was so fucking iconic and legendary that Metro Boomin and Future came out with another joint project called We Still Don't Trust You, and nobody gave a fuck because it didn't have Kendrick Lamar. Like who wants to hear ASAP Rocky talk shit about Drake, bro? Get your sexy ass out of here, and go fucking take care of your kids, bro. You got Rihanna, bro. What else do you want, bro? Like, get out of this, Abel. Go do another fucking line of cocaine, bro. Fucking Kanye, what the fuck are you doing here, bro? You're having another episode. Go sit your ass down and work on Vultures too, bro. You had your chance, man. Jesus. J. Cole, you tapped out and apologized after you dropped a diss and said you were so spiritually terrified that you couldn't fucking sleep. You needed to take a fucking Benadryl. Sit your ass down. This is for the main event, which everybody was waiting for. I didn't even think Drake was going to respond. No, it had already been 20 days after Like That dropped, and there was nothing but AI tracks and crickets, but he finally did with Push-Ups on April 13th, which he debuted on Academics Live.
Here's a real version, stop playing that fucking reference track. Let's get the real shit popping. Let's go!
Which was a fucking catchy record where Drake was going after everybody who dissed him on We Don't Trust You, including Kendrick Lamar, where he was joking about his height and how Top Dog was extorting him for 50% of his revenue. But the most memorable line out of that entire record was, "How the fuck you big steppin' with the size 7 mans on?" Now, once again, I'm not going to talk about BBL Drizzy. That was funny, Rick Ross, but go sit your fucking ass down. This isn't about you. This is about the heavyweight champs. This is about Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock, Mayweather versus Pacquiao, Celtics versus the Lakers, bro. So all these filler episodes, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not addressing them whatsoever. Anyways, after Drake in War Times conquered a territory on enemy's turf, he came back with another bomb specifically made for Kendrick Lamar called Taylor Made Freestyle, where he uses Tupac's and Snoop Dogg's AI voices to send a message basically playing with him. Now, though I thought the bars for Tupac was underwhelming, I thought the message was a 10 out of 10 for creativity, and the AI version of Snoop Dogg was actually pretty top tier, I'm not gonna lie. In this, Drake raps that Kendrick wasn't going to drop a diss track that following week because Taylor Swift was dropping her album, and he didn't want his diss to be overshadowed by that, which was, very psychologically daunting, not only to try to get into Kendrick Lamar's head, but the audience's conversation as well. At this point, the balls were in Kendrick Lamar's court. You had academics glazing, doing a fucking countdown, sucking on his knees, sucking Drake's BBL Drizzy's fucking wiener. He was doing a countdown for the amount of days that Kendrick Lamar wasn't responding. You had people speculate that Kendrick was in a fucking remote island in a different part of the world with no fucking Wi-Fi. People genuinely believed that he did not want the smoke with Drake until he dropped on April 30th at 8:24 in the morning with a song called Euphoria, where he was matching Drake's energy on push-ups and tailor-made freestyle, basically just slapping him around and making comedic jabs for, at him saying things like he believes when Drake says next to Sexy Red, he sees two bad bitches and that he might pop ass with them. But these weren't the nukes that both of these artists claimed that they had. It seemed like they both were still feeling each other out. Like, where do you want to take this really? Now, Kendrick came back to back with the 616 in LA, where he apparently had a quadruple entendre in the title alone. This song was a lot more lyrical, and it felt like Kendrick Lamar was actually ascending in the beginning. It kind of reminded me of like the main character getting ready to go to the final battle at the end of an action movie or something. Like he's preparing for the worst in this song and appreciating the moment before he might die. He then alludes to Drake that he might have a secret agent lurking in the shadows at OVO, further amplifying the psychological torture that Kendrick is doing to his opponent. Now, at this point, Kendrick in this song isn't even talking to us. He doesn't care about the audience around him. He's looking directly at Drake's soul when he wrote this fucking verse. I can only imagine Drake looking around OVO like crashing out, like who the fuck is telling this man shit? Who the fuck is Kendrick isn't even playing the same game as Drake. This is Light Yagami versus L, and Drake isn't even either of them because his IQ doesn't compare to those two. Drake is fucking Misa Amani in this. I could be wrong in the future, by the way, because this war is still going on, but as of now, that's what it's looking like. Drake drops Family Matters at 10 p.m., which was another hit record. I enjoyed it. Drop. I was really trying to keep it PG. That shit was hard. And to top that off, he made a music video with it where he destroys a Good Kid, Mad City van and visits the new Ho King restaurant that Kendrick referenced in Euphoria. To put the nail in the coffin, he accuses Kendrick Lamar of beating his wife and that his child wasn't his. A lot to take in. But we couldn't even absorb the information because Kendrick Lamar dropped 30 minutes later with Meet the Grams, confirming that he does in fact have an informant at OVO. To have a song locked and loaded in the vault with a similar sitcom title to Family Matters is no fucking coincidence. Now, this fucking track was a nuke. I mean, just look at Academics' reaction to it.
The fuck is he talking about? What the fuck is he talking about? What the fuck is this nigga talking about?
This track was so sinister, I had to sleep with the TV on. I had fucking George Lopez blasting in the background. My jaw was dropped through the entire 6 minutes and 24 seconds of the record. I mean, just look at everybody else's reaction. This was a universal reaction. We were all spooked out. Kendrick was talking to Drake's family, literally picking his mind and soul apart. He called him a drug addict, predator, pedophile, and that he was hiding another kid from the world. And guess what? He drops another one while Academics was live again.
He's in my chat. It's like he's watching my stream. It's like we can't even get a moment to like, yo, hey, now Drake dropped a good one here. I know that we don't get. He's dropping again.
We didn't even absorb the last song. Now he dropped a fucking another one, and this one was a banger. This one was the one you could dance to. This motherfucker is a genius. There is no discussion. He is literally the GOAT. He meticulously predicted Drake's move, dropped the song knowing exactly what he was going to talk about, then said, here's another one you can fucking dance to, bitch. This one had me feeling whole again, man. I had sprained my ankle, but after listening to this song, it cured every bone in my body. Thank you, Kendrick Lamar. Thank you. And the reception wasn't even close. Before Kendrick Lamar dropped Meet the Grams and Not Like Us, their internet was going back and forth on who was winning the beef. But after Kendrick dropped two bangers back to back, there is no longer a debate at this moment. Drake has to kill Kendrick Lamar at this point. There is nothing else. There is nothing else. Kendrick just fucking reminded us why he is number one. Thank you, Kendrick. Thank you. Thank you. Now I think the beef is still going on, but what else did Drake have in the chamber, bro? Kendrick has respect, bro. The DOT, money, power, respect, the last one is better. He can't win with numbers. Kendrick is the embodiment of art. This beef is not done, and honestly, there might be more songs that come out during this editing process, and if there is, I'll put it right here. So, as of now, May 7th, 2024 at 10:44 p.m., I feel like there has been enough time that passed where I think the beef is unofficially over. Now, I could be wrong, so don't take my word for it. But just based off the impression I got from Drake's response to Heart Part 6, which is a direct response to Kendrick's The Heart series, it seems like Drake is both tired and defeated. And the reason that people don't really resonate with what he is saying in these diss tracks is because they're just not believable. Because the secret information that Drake has is that Kendrick's baby mother was impregnated by his manager. But if we look at a comparison to Kendrick Lamar and his child, the baby is clearly his, right? I mean, just look at the ears. So why would the general consensus of the population believe anything that Drake has to say once he already invalidated himself with this lie? To top that off, he starts to talk about how Kendrick was molested in one of his songs, Mother I Sober, which was just fucking weird and tasteless. And to top that off, that wasn't even the meaning of the song. The meaning of the song was that his mother had sexual trauma in which she was paranoid that Kendrick had experienced the same thing when he was younger. Drake was obviously spiraling in this song, and it was obvious. For somebody to be confident in telling his opponent to drop in push-ups, then to double down in tailor-made freestyle by mocking and teasing his opponent, then to transition into a completely 180 in this last song, The Heart Part 6, by saying, you burnt this the fuck out, and that, you could drop 10 more of these, but I'm fucking out of here. What really highlights Drake's kind of emotions and sentiments at this very moment. Now, the thing is, Drake and Kendrick were pretty much tied in the beginning of the beef. With the first 4 songs that they dropped, both sides of Twitter were pretty evenly based during that time of the beef. It wasn't until Drake dropped Family Matters and then Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams 30 minutes after that where everything just started to shift towards Kendrick's favor. Because what Kendrick did was open the door to a much more mainstream population that wasn't paying attention to this beef whatsoever. It wasn't until Meet the Grams came out where everybody was like, finally tuning in to what's going on with the temperature of this entire back and forth between these two great artists. Not only did his song overshadow Drake's diss track, but it echoed an eerie tone that just questioned Drake's morality. And the difference between Kendrick Lamar and Drake is that there is actually evidence to back up these claims that Kendrick is making from things that Drake has done or is currently doing. Whether that is having weird interactions with minors, having a gambling addiction, taking people's songs, hiding his child, being 37 and still indulging in these material desires. But once the general population was involved, this was finally being revealed to them. Even though a lot of this has been public for years, the general population doesn't care until it's brought to their attention, which is what Kendrick did. Then for the final nail in the coffin, and I don't know if Kendrick meticulously strategized this, but he drops a certified banger the next day. And I know bangers. Once Kendrick had people dancing and even had people that were on Drake's side admit that this song was hard, that's when I knew that Drake was losing. I don't believe Drake is a Predator or a Jared from Subway. But this isn't about lies or truths. This is about who can sway the audience the best. And clearly, as showcased by a lot of these videos, Kendrick is a clear winner. It's like politics, Once Kendrick was able to gather the collective hive mind, it was a wrap. He has college professors explaining why Drake lost. Teachers telling stories on how everybody is yelling down the hallway, BBL Drizzy. You know, they're playing Kendrick in the NBA Finals. He had people in the club saying, OV ho, this is pretty much finished. Now, do I believe Drake's career is over? No, but I do believe that, you know, Kendrick pretty much fucked the rest of his year up. Anyways, back to Past Lethal. Take it over. He's making a novel. Kendrick Lamar is making a novel. You're dealing with Pulitzer Kenny, bro. He's making a novel. And it's called The Death of a Certified Predator, bro. This beef brought hip-hop back from the dead. And for that, I'm thankful. Anyways, that's all from me. I'm off to another dimension. See ya.